Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. The Department of Mineral Resources is making thoughtless demands that have little hope of being met, says Martin Creamer, who joins me in studio to discuss the matter further. Hi, Martin.
Hi, Tracy.
How is the Department of Mineral Resources going out on a dictatorial limb?
It's turned dictator, and it's so sad because, the impetus that the mining industry can give to this economy is still substantial. And top of that, what is in the ground is a national patrimony. It belongs to everybody. You should be working at it very carefully, thoughtfully. There's just no thought in the new DMR. It's supposed to be the Department of Mineral Resources, but it's the dictator of mineral resources, just going out on its own. We've had 20 years of democracy, more than 20 years of democracy, and during that period, there's always been a very good communication. Previous ministers have made sure that you have business involved, you have labor involved, and you have government involved, and they work together. They work robustly, there's no doubt about that. And then at the end of it all, they would bring in the media so that they also saw the stakeholders, the rest of South Africa. This doesn't happen anymore. You get these weird gazettings. Now, a gazette notice is a very serious thing. You come out with a gazette. They came out in April with a surprise gazette turning the mining charter on its head. And when the industry, was shocked at this, they said, no, don't worry, this is just a draft document, we're going to discuss it. Well, that was a charade. There was no discussion. And now they're saying they will come out with another gazette before the end of the year. This is just not the way to do things, particularly where the mining industry is situated at the moment. It's fragile. It's financially fragile. When you look at that platinum price at the moment, going to $915 an ounce, that is not covering costs, I promise you. And you saw the industry as a whole last year lost 37 billion rand. So it's not in a good shape. And to rattle the cage the way the DMR is doing is really not good for South Africa. And someone should say to them, hey, so far, no further, guys.
And how are they making things worse with the Mining Transformation and Development Agency?
Can you believe this? They just spring an agency which is like a little tax man. He's going to come out, this little tax man, and he, independent of Treasury, which is maybe a reflection of the fight that's going on between Treasury and the parts of the government that don't like it. They're going to pull in like a 5 billion rand extra on the side where they are going to decide how they're going to deal with this. And it's not as if you take it from profits. So in other words, they're saying, okay, from your profits, we want a little slice. No. They're saying we're taking it from your revenue. So whether your revenue is profitable or not, they still want it, guys. These fellas with the big hammer over their head, really, they're inexperienced. I just think that it's bad for South Africa. This whole country has really been built on the minerals energy complex. When I say minerals, we had fantastic assets here. The gold and the platinum, the diamonds, there's no one in the world that can compete with this. We still got $2.5 trillion, worth of assets in the ground, which are worth $1 trillion, but if you don't bring them to surface, they're worth nothing. So we are well endowed. We are a well endowed country, in need of growth, in need of exports. What else do we get exports for? Oh, we like driving around in fancy cars and everything. You can't import those things if you haven't got exports going out. So I think they seriously short-sighted, the DMR. I can't see them getting away with it, but it damages the industry now. We've seen two top, mining companies come out. Sibanye Gold's Neil Frenneman in London saying, we're in a crisis here. We saw another senior Chamber of Mines executive member yesterday, the CEO of Northern Platinum, Paul Dunn, saying this is a fragile situation. And, things have become so difficult that the normal problems, of making sure you make a profit and you increase your production and you have an operational excellence, you have safety, that is becoming less onerous than all these other political things that are being heaped on this industry. So it is so bad to do this, and I'm saying it's not just silly. They shouldn't allow silliness to continue. You know, the cabinet of South Africa should say to these little people in the DMR, no further, boys. You know, it's just bad for this country's economy.
And what are some of the consequences of these ill-considered targets that the DMR has in mind?
Well, we're not going to see investment. You know, and if you don't see investment, you hit a lot of aspects of the economy. I mean, it's fine. You need maintenance investment because you're actually mining there. But what about growth? You know, what about going into new areas? You're not going to see that. In this uncertainty, it's definitely out of the question. It'll only be essential stay in business investment that will happen. Hopefully that will keep all the other sectors ticking along, because so many parts of this economy depend on mining. You know, and mining can float so many boats, but mining can also sink many boats if it's not going well. And that's why this DMR is acting so irresponsibly. And we wonder, you know, why it is carrying on like this. We saw in the past how people try to seize mineral rights, and we should have woken up at that stage. You know, when that Kumba issue arose, when the deadline was reached for the renewal of the mineral rights of our biggest iron ore mine, and people try to sneak in and, I would say, steal those rights, because it was obvious who owned those rights. Fortunately, you know, the courts have decided that those rights go to Kumba, and that's it. But how many years of court cases did this take? You know, it was anyone with half an eye could see what was going on there. What will happen now, you know, in the darkness of the corridors of the DMR with regard to mineral rights, how these are going to be awarded? It's a huge concern.
And why is it important that business and labour pull together their forces at this time?
You know, I don't think business and labour have ever been closer. You know, there's always been government and labour, which has been close, and business has had to work within that environment. Suddenly, labour is becoming disgusted with government. Now, this is the time for business and labour to get together and shame the government into doing something special. And I defy the government to try and turn a combination of business and labour down. That's going to be a difficult thing for the government to do. So if business and labour could just get together, they could actually say to the government, you will not continue to act in this way, which is squeezing our economy, which is shrinking our economy, and you will act in this way, which creates jobs and gets us going. Because, I mean, the labour side is really inextricably linked to business. It's just been a political aberration that they've been so close to government here. But, you know, that it's business and labour that work together on a daily basis. And fortunately, they are growing closer and closer because of the fact that they don't like what's going on in government, and that is the time to seize this opportunity to change things.
What do you think will happen should government turn down the business labour front?
I think that, you know, a government that does that will not get in the next election, because you've got these two forces that are providing work to millions of people, you know, saying, you're not acting in the best interests of the economy of this country. It is got to grow, and you're not allowing it to grow. So you're throttling it. When you're throttling it, you are making sure that certain people haven't got jobs. You know, when all these millions of children come through from their matric, what are they supposed to do? I mean, the government should ensure that this place is growing at about 6%. You know, when I came onto the job market, I can remember we were growing at 6.5%. What if we weren't doing that? Where would we have got our jobs? So what are you going to do? How are you going to start off? So I think that it will be formidable. If business and labour confront government, government will just melt under their pressure. That's my opinion.
Thanks, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Tracy.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the South African mining industry.